Sammy, these next 5 days are going to be awesome. College football semis, and then we roll right into NFL wildcard weekend, which is going to wrap around and happen on Monday. It's going to finish up on Monday, so we're thinking a Monday night show. How you feeling, my man?
Why did that chicken sound like he swallowed a Chicago hot dog and it couldn't get down the pipe? That's what I just heard. That was very intense.
They're doing another giveaway too, right? I forgot what it was. The Bears have to score some sort of a touchdown. They have to win the game, and they're going to give out hot dogs again. They made it very challenging this time. It wasn't Ben Johnson get naked in the locker room. We're going to give out free hot dogs to the city of Chicago, but they're making sure the Wiener Circle to keep their name out there.
The deals have been very good. I have been, though, honestly, I've been waiting for a free cheese fry if Ben Johnson shows you his wrench on social. That's what we all need. I will admit, I am starting to feel the tension build up, my internal tension, and maybe the tension of people that have followed me for the last 4 or 5 months. There's no escaping Sunday, buddy. Buffalo, Jacksonville. And I was on the phone with Vegas Rick earlier, as I am all the time, and we were going through his favorite games. And he said, love Philly, love the Bears, love the Jags. And my heart dropped. I know. That's my guy. That's my number one. And we are heads up there. Now, he knows I have a future. He likes Jacksonville in the game, and I'm sure we'll get into all of the wild card games this weekend.
Yes, we will. And I'm really looking forward to that. Some of the things I was saying with Horvat yesterday, I'm like, the more I look at these games, I'm like, I don't know that I was agreeing with what Joe O was saying on the show yesterday. If you did not check it out, it's on YouTube. Check out the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Horvey, welcome to the family. I guess it's the Chicken Dinner family. He's going to come up with a name for the show. But I'm going to do a show with him on a weekly basis coming up on Wednesdays. That was a lot of fun. He had a lot to say. It seemed like he didn't want to end the show, but it was cool. And that's going to continue on a weekly basis. He's jacked about doing that.
We had a very nice YouTube thumbnail for Horvey. He loved it. Able to get Horvat in bright lights on a marquee. I don't believe the name of the show will be Horvat, but
no,
time will tell.
Yeah, we shall see. Also, want to pay off a tease from our show earlier on in the week. You said the official number was 7. I want to find out if you even know where you stand now, but I told you after the show that I would have to go check that out. So I did weigh in on Monday. The holiday poundage was surprisingly 5 for me, which weighed myself this morning. That's now back to 0. So we've been all right. Yeah, good advice about the water. We've been all right this week, kind of back to where we started. Not where I want to be, but the official tally was 5 because we were curious about that.
It really does change everything if you drink a lot of water and you, during the holidays, find the discipline to eat one danger meal. Let's call it that, a danger meal, where you're smoking everything in sight. As long as you don't eat the rest of the day or try your best not to, it's not as bad as you think.
More exciting news. Not only Horvey, not only is it wild card weekend, college football playoff semis, but we can officially announce a sponsor to the show, the first sponsor of Chicken Dinner, and you can support that sponsor. It's quite easy. A sponsor that we have discussed many times, whether we're doing Bet Sweats or right here on Chicken Dinner. Splash Sports has joined the party. So if you want to sign up for this $1 million contest that they have going on, splashsports.com/chicken, splashsports.com/chicken. We tweeted about it this morning at chickenxdinner. So make sure you check out that link. We're all excited about the playoffs. So if you're thinking about the matchups, like we're going to be discussing throughout the rest of the show, why not hop in? You just have to pick 2 winners straight up, and you want to be careful who you pick because you don't want to pick somebody who's going to be playing in the championship game so you don't get screwed there. But it's a $1 million NFL playoff survivor, playoffs only. So you're only picking 2 teams for the wild card weekend, 2 in the divisional round, then 1 in the conference championship, and then, of course, your Super Bowl winner. You can only use each team once, so you have to think ahead. Here's the best part. You can enter from your phone in over 40 states now. When I first started with Splash, that was not the case. People in Pennsylvania were like, hey, what about us? And they got through there. But 40 plus states now for Splash Sports. So check it out. $1 million NFL playoff survivor on Splash, $150 to enter, $1 million guaranteed prizes. Doesn't matter how many people end up signing up. They're giving out $1 million. The deadline to enter Saturday, Sam, 4:30 Eastern. Jump in, get those picks in.
We had a couple tweets as well and DMs about playoff survivor strategy. And ironically enough, those messages came before we had made the announcement this morning, and very happy to be doing some work with Splash. I know some of the people there. Our buddy Muscles is now there running things. So I was excited. And obviously you have a natural relationship there. You've been doing a lot of contests over the years. This is a big deal because the more people in, the bigger the pot gets. And I expect when we first announced that we were up, I wrote it down in the rundown for our show today. There were 2817 entries. Now there's 2896. So a nice push there. I would love to get this to at least 6,000. And we've got a little over 2 full days, like 52 hours to go. It's not a big pot. And I know you listening right now, I know you're invested. I know you're in all these pools. I know you're in all these contests. I know you're in these things. Don't lie to me. Get in this one. It's going to be fun. You get to beat Joe in another Survivor contest. What are you waiting for?
Another one. So if you are looking via video over on YouTube, or maybe you're pulling it up on the app on your phone, the Splash Sports one, or just go into that site, splashsports.com/chicken, you will see a little green G. What that means is no matter what, it's going to be $1 million they're handing out in this. Doesn't matter how many people end up signing up. Doesn't matter if it fills. I think it will fill. We've got until later Saturday afternoon, like what we're going to see on Friday, and probably when the games start with college football, ton of people signing up. I expect it to fill, but there's a lot of strategy involved, a lot of it. And we're going to go over our picks. We're going to come up with some show picks for this wild card round. So it's a lot of fun, and you frankly do need some luck there. But if you want to support the show, that is one way to jump in over there, especially if you're a new user over at Splash Sports. Ready to jump into wild card weekend? We got 6 games, Sam.
I am. Are we doing the Splash picks now, or are we saving that for later?
Let's do that later. Because we've got 6 games to get through. By the way, John Murray jumping on the show, our friend Patrick Everson as well. So we'll probably squeeze those picks in before, actually between the guests there. So yeah, let's get rolling on these games, and then we'll kind of recap. Okay, this is what we're thinking, and here's where we want to go strategy-wise. The first game, wild card weekend, we've got Saturday afternoon, Sam. It is a massive point spread. Massive. When we were hopping on and these lines were up, my gut reaction was, okay, do we want to go with the big dog? And then one of those situations, the more and more I look at this game, oh, I get it. I get it why we're past 10. I understand why we're 10.5 in this game. That's where we are. The Rams and the Panthers, even though during the regular season in Carolina, the Rams ended up losing, a high-scoring affair. What is your thought process entering this one?
I won't get involved. Let me start there. But I do know some people that laid 10 on the open. Right away, this thing opened, pow, 10 to 10.5. And I know the guy who's a part of it. And I said, well, good luck. I don't personally like laying big numbers in the playoffs. And we've also seen the Rams lose to the Panthers this year. Now, just because the Rams beat the Panthers, that doesn't mean that Carolina can't get torqued in this game, because pressure rises, and we have not seen Bryce Young do it at this level before. It's just difficult for me to lay this number. It is. I understand if you want to put the Rams in a couple parlays, if you want to do some money line action there, that's fine. I'm staying off the dog. I know you were leaning to the dog. Are you still there, or are you kind of off it now?
I'm off it now. You're right. I was leaning to the dog just because of the double-digit number here. And the more and more I look at it and what occurred in that first matchup, what jumps out to me, Sammy, is There are just so many things that I just don't think are repeatable in this game. When you think about Carolina winning that game 31-28, the line was 9.5 in that one. And it's pretty telling that we're through the 10 to 10.5. And like you mentioned, that's due to some sharp money. The Rams were great in the red zone in that game, and they kept turning the ball over. Is that repeatable? Stafford did not turn the ball over this year, but he had 2 picks and he lost a fumble. One of those picks was a 48-yard pick six. Bryce Young in that game on 3rd and 4th down, he was 10 for 18. The Panthers scored 28 points, Sam, getting into the red zone once. There's just so many things. Devontae Adams, it looks like he's 100% healthy, ready to go. He scored 2 touchdowns in this game. McVay, as a road favorite, been spectacular. One of the better coaches out there. It's a top 10 defense. It's an elite offense. And then you look at the strength for the Panthers, a team that wins their division with a sub-500 record. What are they great at? I don't have an answer because they're really not great at everything. They're a little below average offensively, and the same thing defensively. They did turn the ball over, and you could say that about a number of teams in the playoffs. We'll get to that Bears-Packers game coming up, and that's going to jump up again. But I don't know what the Panthers are great at. Week to week throughout the season, you never really knew which team was going to show up. Sometimes at home, they were really good. I just look at that matchup, and I'm like, I get why the sharp money came in. I don't think a lot of that is repeatable. And if I had to make a pick, if you're in a contest where you're picking every game, ATS, Sam, I would click LA. If I had to make a pick, I will not be betting it.
So you flipped. You were leaning Carolina, and now you lean to LA, and that's the perfect reason to just stay off the game. I would go Rams, but I would hate to lay 10.5. I mean, that's the market everywhere. I guess Circa has a 10 right now in Vegas, but every book is at 10.5. And at that point, I'm just not really that interested. If it's 23-13, 24-14, I don't want to be a part of that. Here's a bet I might make, though, and I have a story coming out on Fox with Chris Andrews. I might bet Chicago. I'm definitely going to tease them. And we had alluded to this. I don't know if it was early this week or late last week. All these days are kind of running together now. But I had said I would love to take the Bears through 7 on a teaser. And there's a world. Actually, I can do it at a couple books right now. I got to see if my my guy will give me 1.5. Talk me out of a Bears plus 7.5 and a Bills plus 7.5 teaser. Who blows that one up?
I don't think either team does.
Neither. That's the correct answer. That's the answer right there. You get the teams. I think they're both better. Chicago's obviously at home. Buffalo's on the road. But getting both of those teams through 7 is ideal.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to be going off the beaten path with this game because you mentioned that teaser. There's a second half play that I like and a prop that I'm looking at. But as far as, pregame, taking a look at this number, betting into that, betting on this pregame total, probably not going to get there. To your point about the teaser, you look at these matchups, and it's not just this year with the 2 December games. If you go over the last 2 calendar years, like we can include Eberflus, last 2 calendar years, these two teams have played 5 times, 5 one-score games. Packers have won 3 times. Bears have won 2. They split this year. It was wild the way it happened, but it did happen. The first game in Green Bay, Packers offense dominates the first half. Bears offense dominates the second half. You've got to pick in the end zone to end it. Maybe the Bears tie it or go for the lead there. It comes down to almost the last play of that game. And then the flurry of scoring that we saw when the Bears were down by 10 points with 2 minutes left at Soldier Field, they eventually win in overtime, and you had Love leaving that game. You had the Packers unable to do anything offensively in the red zone. They were 0 for 5, something that gets completely overlooked. And throughout most of that game, the Bears sucked. They did nothing on 3rd down. They had over 100 yards in penalties. And, without Love, does that change things? Probably. I would lean Green Bay wins that game if they have Jordan Love throughout, but it's not like Willis didn't do anything. I keep looking at the second half of this game. And the Bears have been fantastic. Evan Abrams brings up that the Bears have covered 7 straight games in the second half, and we've seen a flurry of points in the second half of these matchups, and I'm thinking the same thing could happen, Sam. You can find 22.5 right now on a second half over. Early in the week, it looked like wind was going to play a factor. Right now, I mean, we're still sitting midweek, so we're a couple days out. Right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be as big of a factor as we were thinking. The total did come down a point this week, but it hasn't budged since. So I'm looking at Bears second half, Bears over, not Bears over, the game over in the second half with that number of 22.5. I think those are good looks. And then there's a prop I'm looking at as well. So Bears teaser, are you thinking of rolling with Vegas, Rick, and just taking Bears?
I am, for sure. I can also tell you this. Kenny White makes the total in this game 50. I was listening as I was doing the video chapters for the Horvat experience.
Oh boy.
I heard you guys talking about the second half over, and I just kind of played it full circle and played the full game card. And I looked at the total yesterday as you guys were talking, and I'm like, oh, 45, 44.5, because it's come down on the open, right? It's definitely come down. And then I load Kenny White's email with all of his weekly projections, and his says Green Bay, Chicago, 50. I'm like, oh. Kenny, very bullish on the over in this one, which I'm sure you like to hear as somebody who's looking at a second half play.
Yeah, and a prop look that I like is a guy that's been red hot over the last couple games, ever since that Packers game. Now, he was getting looks against Green Bay, but the last 2 games, he's gone off. The rookie, Loveland. Last 2 games, 23 targets. Now, not the best defenses in San Francisco and Detroit, but look, I mean, you have to recalibrate where you are on Green Bay with this defense. I think the Bears and Packers defenses are just about even when you're talking about Micah Parsons not being on the field. But 90-plus yards for Loveland each of the last 2 games. Last week, he's on for over 90% of the snaps. First time this season that's happened. Ben Johnson clearly has a lot of trust in this dude. Over 40.5 receiving yards is a good look. And he's better than 2-1 to get into the end zone. But I think Loveland props pretty strong in this matchup.
You would think Ben Johnson would like to run the ball. That's been where the Bears have buttered their bread a ton. And I was ripping through the Sumer Sports email that they send out basically every time, around this time every week, I guess I should say. And they've got the Bears inside running game 6th in the NFL. 6. The Packers run against on the inside stuff, 26th. So that's going to be crucial. If they can establish that inside run, Bears very, very good at it. Packers very, very bad at it. And not that Micah Parsons was a great run stopper, but he's one of several guys on this team that just aren't healthy right now. And I still don't know how healthy Jordan Love is. I don't know. We've heard rumblings. We've seen tweets and articles and all that. But until we see it, it's hard to understand.
Manungai, that could be the play with that inside run game. That could be a pretty good look. You're dead right about that. That is a big advantage to the Bears. All right, Buffalo, Jacksonville, the one that you are waiting on. Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern. Sam, since we were last on the air together, it's been a lot of Jacksonville love. It started with Buffalo, and then it gets knocked down to a pick 'em, super high total, well into the 50s here with the Bills and Jags. How you feeling?
I don't feel great, but what's done is done. The house has already been painted. There's no unpainting it. It's a position that I've built up since the summer, and my prices are pretty rangy, as we've talked about, from as low as 7-1 to as high as 12-1. It's a nice pot potentially, but it could all go up in smoke on Sunday. That's the reality of this business. And as much as it pains me to say this, I could look really smart if they make a run. I could look like a fucking dumbass if they lose on Sunday, which of course is possible. There's really not a big margin for error with Buffalo, and I think we both kind of understand what they are. They are a team that needs Josh Allen to play an A game, if not an A-plus game, to win, especially on the road, because you're going on the road every game until the Super Bowl if you're lucky enough to make it that far. But we can't have this B+, B- Josh Allen and expect Buffalo to win coin flip games. He has to be the best player. And I think my thought process has always been all along, when I added to the Bills position, I saw a roadmap or a path without Mahomes, without Burrow, and likely without Lamar, who is not in the playoffs because of a missed kick. Say what you will about that. But, I mean, if you're ranking quarterbacks in the AFC, I don't know why you wouldn't have Josh Allen number one. That's my hope. That's the belief in anything Bills related.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from on that. I wish I knew the winner of this game. I feel like the winner of this game is going to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
You know, even if it's Jacksonville, if they take down the Bills, and looking at the teams that they would have to beat on their way, I think it could be the Bills, or it could be the Jaguars. There's a reason this thing is knocked down to a pick 'em. Bills have struggled on the road in the playoffs. I'm not too worried about that. I think the really fascinating matchups go back to one thing involving Jacksonville, and people like to talk about Liam Cohen because of the offense. I look at the Jaguars defense. It's the best run game in the NFL against one of the best run defenses, depending what stat you look at. This Jaguars defense has not allowed any running back to go for over 75 yards this year. And here you go with James Cook. That's going to be big. And of course, it's going to be big with Josh Allen using his legs as well. The Jaguars have been turning the ball over throughout the season. There's another factor. Bills defense, bad against the run. Okay. Is it going to be run heavy with Jackson? But there are so many interesting matchups in this one, Sam. But the deciding factor for me comes down to, hold up. Josh Allen, the best quarterback in the playoffs, but certainly the best in the AFC without Mahomes and Lamar, is in a pick'em scenario. Do we need to overthink it too much? And maybe I've been hanging out talking NFL with you a little bit too much this year, but that's the reason I have to go Bills.
Well, I can tell you this, and I can't wait to hear what our first guest says about this game. I can tell you this. I am heads up big time with Mitch Moss, Gil Alexander, Andy Molitor, my guy Chris Felica. They're all on Jacksonville, and here's little old me on an island. I need you on that wall, Joe.
I'm here with you. But yeah, like you mentioned, there's a lot of smart people that we know that we talk to on a regular basis. They're lining up on that Jacksonville side. You want to finish off these wild card games or jump in with our guest here?
No, we got John Murray in a sweater vest. We can't make him wait any longer.
He's very alert. Very alert.
Why are you yawning? Are you not excited for ref ball?
I just got out of a meeting. I mean, it's all I can do, guys, you know. But I can't wait for the NFL playoffs. The games, I think Buffalo Jacksonville is a pretty interesting game. Honestly, I don't really like the other games on Sunday. Honestly, I don't like what Joe. You probably don't know this about me. I can't stand watching the Eagles play. I think it's like the worst. Like I recognize that they're a good team, but I think that like they're playing the worst style of football I've ever seen. It's awful, and I'm not looking forward to that game. But Buffalo Jacksonville has all these storylines. And especially, I think the Buffalo coach is a bozo, and I think that would be the thing I'd be worried about, Sam, if I was on your side. But I got to believe that all these head coaches like John Harbaugh, they want to see what happens on Sunday. Because Josh Allen's the best player in the NFL. And if the Bills fire McDermott on Sunday or Monday, now that job is open in the middle of Josh Allen's prime. So I think it's very interesting. And it's also our most lopsided ticket count of the 6 games, boys. Jacksonville is the most lopsided ticket count.
Let's go
at the Westgate. Now, obviously, we're talking on, what is today, Thursday? All the days run together when you work as hard as we all do. Thursday morning, we're talking, but right now, Jacksonville, most lopsided ticket count at the Westgate.
So technically, Joe, that's the room at the Westgate occupied by the Jacksonville bettors.
Yes. Yeah. So I think I heard too that some of the guys that work here that I work with, Sam, I'm not going to name names, but some of my guys like Jacksonville too. So you might be the only one out there that likes the Bills, pal.
I haven't heard a lot of people. I have not heard a lot of people say Bills. I'll just say that.
I think I did a show yesterday with your guy's girl, Kelly in Vegas, who lives in Florida, but that's beside the point. But she told me that her play of the week is Jacksonville.
Oh, come on. Everybody's picking Jacksonville.
So I don't know, man.
Sharp sides so much.
It's everybody. Everybody's on Jacksonville. All kidding aside, I am excited about the wild card slate because we've really had sharp money on almost all 6 of the games. So there really is. There's talking points from a betting perspective, really on every game other than the Jacksonville game. I mean, we did see some sharp money on the over. But I haven't really seen any of the accounts that I respect weigh in on the side yet. It's just a lopsided count on Jacksonville.
John, I hear what you're saying about that Sunday schedule. I thought for sure Bears-Packers was going to be on Sunday. But that would be the other game that could be a big tilt here. For the third time in a very short period, twice in December, and now here we go into the wild card round, 2 in the 7 matchup. What have you seen there? When the number first popped, there were some books that decided to make the Bears a favorite, others the Packers. The market has now settled on it. What sort of action are you seeing?
That's a very interesting game because now you're talking about the third time these guys have played in about a month, 6 weeks. And Green Bay probably should have won the game that they lost that ended up basically giving Chicago the division. And that's how they're betting it here. Really sharp money on Green Bay +1. Flipped Green Bay to the favorite. Yesterday, we moved from Green Bay -1 to -1.5. And it's just because Green Bay is a really sharp side. I mean, the ticket count, relatively even, not really super lopsided one way or another. There was a little bit of money on the over in the game. But, I mean, really all I can report is the sharp guys are on Green Bay. And I think the question is, how many times are people going to doubt the Chicago Bears and end up being wrong? I mean, I guess we'll find out on Saturday, but I know that they've been betting against this Bears team a lot, and the Bears had a terrific season. I think they're very well coached. Sammy Boy knows I love Caleb Williams. That's my guy. But they just continue to doubt these guys every week after week, and that's why you've seen the favorite flip here over to Green Bay.
San Fran Philly is really interesting. I think the national narrative is that Philly can't score, Philly can't blow teams out. Yet Westgate opened 3.5. You guys went to 4 almost right away, and now you're 5. John, you guys are out to 5. There's a book in this country that has a 5.5. So. I don't think that's wreck money on Wednesday and Thursday, moving this to 5. Are you seeing that support for the Eagles at your shop?
Yeah, definitely. Really sharp accounts on Philly -4, guys. So we went to 4.5, moved it to 5. I think this morning we did that. Might have been last night, but in the last 24 hours, we moved it to 5. Really sharp money on the Eagles. San Francisco, their problem, as we all know, the injury is just mounting up on that team. They've had injury problems all season. And we saw the betting market, if you think back to last Saturday night, you saw the betting market totally reject the 49ers. You saw Seattle go up to like 2.5 juiced, I think, at kickoff in San Francisco. And that money was right. Seattle wins that game. So the betting market, again, going against a very banged-up 49er team. I just don't like watching Philadelphia play, guys. I didn't say I don't think that they're good. They are good. The Eagles are good. They are a team that could get back to the Super Bowl for the third time in 4 years. I just don't find the way they play the game to be appealing. But they don't care what I think, do they? I mean, I can't imagine they care.
So it just feels like, to me, and maybe this is too simplistic, but San Francisco scratched and clawed for every yard all season. And Philly just kind of wanted to stay healthy and get healthy. And now these games matter more, and San Francisco has to prove to me that there's still gas in the tank. I don't know if there is.
Well, there's only, no matter how deep your team is or how well coached they are, there's only so many injuries you can overcome. And if Trent Williams is banged up going into this game, he's probably the most valuable player on that team, in my opinion. He's banged up. He didn't play on Saturday. They scored what on Saturday? 3 points without Trent Williams in the lineup. I know Seattle is great defensively, but Philadelphia is pretty good too on defense. I feel like the 49ers just have too many guys out. It's really hard to picture them going into Philadelphia and winning this game.
Sunday Night Football. This has been 3.5 all week. How much, and it's a super small sample size, but it is talked about constantly. Herbert in the playoffs, most recently a 4-interception game. The other one blowing a massive lead. How much is that impacting the line?
I don't know that that's something we're really talking about, honestly. I know they've had a lot of offensive line problems this season, injuries on the offensive line. Herbert, I think, is personally hurt. He doesn't look like he's fully healthy, probably because his offensive line has been so bad. I can't imagine those two things are not correlated. I don't know that we're gonna. How many playoff games has he had? Two. Like seriously, right?
Without a defense. This year he has a defense.
And I think that the first time he made the playoffs, he was not playing for the best coach in my mind back at that time. So I know they blew that 27-0 lead in Jacksonville on a Saturday night. I don't know that I would. I don't like writing off these quarterbacks when they're like 25 because they lost a couple of playoff games. So all kidding aside, that would not factor into the way I look at this game. I'd look at it more the injuries on the Chargers offensive line, the play of the Chargers offensive line. How is New England going to react to being back in the playoffs? They've got a young quarterback too. This is the one game where there hasn't really been really sharp money on anything, on the side, on the total, a little bit of money on plus 3.5. Remember, we book all NFL games at minus 108, guys. So there was a little bit of sharp money, plus 3.5, minus 108. We went to plus 3.5, minus 116 on the Chargers, but it's not a game where we've seen a lot that I can report as of right now. I think we'll need the Chargers when the game starts, but I don't see it being. It's not the game that's getting a lot of the support from the wise guys yet.
I would guess when we get through Sunday and everything rolls into Monday, you're going to be rooting for Pittsburgh, maybe even to win the game. There's probably going to be a lot of Houston money line tickets on plenty of parlays, I would guess.
I think you're right, and I will say that this is the game. This is probably the side of the week where we've seen the most sharp action on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh at plus 3.5, on Pittsburgh at plus 3 even money. Right now we're at Houston minus 3 even money. Pittsburgh is plus 3 minus 116. So Pittsburgh really getting sharp action. I think Houston's on like a 10-game winning streak coming into this game, and their defense to me is maybe the best in the NFL. But the sharp guys, the sharp accounts here have been taking the points with Pittsburgh. 3.5s are gone, but they took plus 3 even money as well. So if Sam is right, and I think he probably is, the books will have liability to Houston when we do wake up on Monday, depending on how the games go this week. And this is such a unique week too, guys, because we also have the semifinal games in college football today and tomorrow. And parlays are going to be running all through this weekend of this Monday night game. Maybe the line does flash up a little bit when books have their liabilities and they see what they're risking on Monday night. But that's a pretty interesting game. They really all the games are pretty good except for the first one. The first one is tough.
Least amount of action there. It looked like sharp money early, 10.5, and then
really sharp money minus 10, Joe. But they came back and they took 11 yesterday. So that's why you're seeing it bounce around a little bit right now. We'll need Carolina. Carolina will probably end up being, I don't want to say it might end up being the biggest need of the week just because it's such a big number. Like if Carolina can somehow win the game and just knock out all these money line parlays, especially depending on how today and tomorrow go. If there are these parlays with I almost said the Dolphins, the Miami Hurricanes and Indiana, and then they go to the Rams and they go to the Eagles, excuse me. If Carolina could win, that'd be huge for us.
Well, I can tell you this. Mitch Moss and I have a side bet on Bills Jags. and the
Okay.
loser has to buy dinner at Naked City.
Ooh, for how many people?
For a crowd.
We've both picked up a few tabs at Naked City over the years, pal. I mean, that can get up there if you got like 30 hooligans all crowded around a table of 200 buffalo wings.
Is humans going?
Humans will be there for sure. Last time I was there, I drank 6 shots with humans, and I think we ordered. What was it? Chris said we had about 400 wings in August.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I mean,
remember when somebody came up to you and went, "Wow, Spanky left Bet Bash to come to Wings."
Oh yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting there, probably eating buffalo wings, and he just walks in, and he came over, said hello to me. It was real nice, and he just asked what flavor to get, and I think I said something, and then he just got like the hottest one they had, and just totally ignored whatever it was that I said.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're speaking of Mitch Moss. I'm supposed to go there with Mitch on Monday night for the Monday night game. So should I set up a bet myself with Mitch on the Bills and then have Mitch buy my wings Monday? Save me a couple of bucks. Well, maybe I'll do that.
That's
or
your
cost
prerogative.
Me a couple of bucks.
If you want to do that, that's fine. I was going to say if Buffalo beats Jacksonville, I'll be back in March, and you could be my +1 to the wing date.
I accept. I was going to accept that anyway. Whether you're paying or Mitch is paying, what the hell do I care? Free wings.
John, before we let you go here, most of the audience is going to check this out after Miami, Ole Miss gets going, but Oregon, Indiana on Friday. What do you think there?
Well, we'll need Oregon. Indiana is getting all the flowers right now. Everybody likes Indiana. Not that I blame anybody. Indiana looks awesome. Signetti's done maybe the best coaching job I've ever seen in any sport with that football team the last 2 seasons. But we'll be big Oregon fans on Friday night, guys. We need them in the futures book, which is a major consideration in any sport. When you get down to the Final Four, you're looking at your futures positions. Or our Oregon position is really good. We'd like to see Oregon win. And the ticket count, the money is all very lopsided to Indiana. So money line parlays, straight bets on point spread. The point spread tickets right now are over 3-1 on Indiana. But you've still seen the line go from 4 to 3.5 on Oregon, despite the public very much being on Indiana. So that's really an interesting game. Both the semifinals ended up being pretty interesting games. I think we all thought the Thursday game was going to be Georgia-Ohio State, and we got something different. And then the Oregon-Indiana game, a rematch of a great game earlier in the season that was one of our biggest wins of the season when Indiana won outright in Oregon. This time we'll be rooting for Oregon.
All right, John Murray, Westgate Superbook, Kelly and Murray show as well. He likes to interact with everybody out there on Twitter, on X, at Vegas Murray. Thank you, John.
Anytime, you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Sam, it sounds like the Sharps have taken their stances on a lot of these wild card games. Now, yes, maybe shooting for a middle or trying to decide what's going to happen, going on both sides with the Rams and the Panthers, but interesting. Let's line up on Green Bay, Philly, Pittsburgh, I guess Jacksonville, but it sounds like everybody's just betting Jacksonville.
I'm not surprised by the Philly stuff. I sort of led John there because I have a story coming out for Fox about the 2 big NFC games, and that's Green Bay, Chicago, and San Fran, Philly. And Chris Andrews is at the pharmacy drive-thru at Walgreens getting texts about how they're writing more Philly bets. He's like, yeah, they keep coming in and they keep laying it. And these were the guys that were laying 3.5 and 4. Here's what happens. They don't just bet John at the Westgate. They also bet Chris at South Point. They bet Tony at the Golden Nugget. They bet the guys at Circa. They bet the guys at Stations. They work in teams and they grab numbers all over town. So the guys that were betting Philly at the Westgate were also betting Chris. It was happening as we're on the phone, and I'm watching, the board is going to 4.5, 5. Chris is at 4, and he's like, hold on, I'll call you back. Somebody clearly wanted to make a $5,000 or $10,000 bet on the Eagles. And, when money like that comes in days before the game, it's not public money. It's usually not a whale, because the whales get there Friday morning, Friday night for the most part. I know a lot of the casino hosts in town. These guys that are big gamblers, they get in on the weekend. They don't get in Thursday morning at 12 p.m. Eastern and fire NFL. So that is definitely one of the sharper sides I've heard all week, the Eagles.
No doubt. And let's pick it up where we left off there before jumping on with John Murray. If you look at the time of this recording, yes, there are 4.5s, but there are 5s, and there are 5.5s. 44.5's the total. I'm like, is this thing going to get to 6 by the time we get to Sunday afternoon? I don't know, man. Yeah, my first reaction was, whoa, that's a lot for a team that doesn't blow out the opposition a whole much with Philadelphia. And they just care about winning the game. I don't know that they care about covering the point spread, but the more you look at Hurts' history at home, resting starters last week, they didn't care if they were the 2 or the 3. Lane Johnson is practicing today. It looks like there's a good chance that he's going to make his return. And you look on the San Francisco side, they could only put up 3 points against an excellent defense in the Seahawks. They're facing a really good defense, not as good as Seattle's, but Fangio with that matchup, man, Fangio against CMC, because what else do you have? I don't know. And the Niners defense has been talked about again and again, but I can't stress it enough. I mean, even these season-long numbers, Sam, not just since the injuries to Bosa and Warner on the season, they are dead last in the NFL in success rate. They are dead last in the NFL in sack rate. They're not turning the ball over on that end. As John Murray was hinting at it, it might be the game where just everything falls apart for them.
23-10, 23-13. That's sort of where I'm at. And I did bet some Eagles. I hope that by the time you listen to the show, you can still lay some of these numbers here. There's a 4.5 at FanDuel, -110. There's a -111 at Paradise. I mean, you have the ability. You see all these 4.5s here. I don't know why you would lay 5.5 ever when there's a 4.5 at multiple outs. That's a game I really like. And I'm thinking about building some parlays with Philly and a dog. So say, Philly to win and the Chargers to win. Philly to win and Buffalo to win. Sort of expand that payout. Philly to win and Pittsburgh to win. The Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania special. That'll be a nice payout when you pair a favorite with a dog. And I've heard from plenty of guys that love the Eagles, and I don't think their opinion's going to change, even at 5.5.
No, and if you're looking at props, one that popped out to me, Sam, thinking about how Saquon Barkley was used this year, and now it's playoff time. He had a little bit extra rest. Are they going to push that button a little bit more? And improved offensive line, bad defense. 79.5 feels like a bargain. What was that number last year? And it's down for good reason. It hasn't been the same Saquon Barkley, but I would think it is now time to lean on Saquon like they did last playoffs.
I would agree. I don't know that I'm going to get over on 79.5. I just want to bet on the collection of guys. I want the Eagles. I want them by margin. And I knew the news was going to be good on Lane Johnson. It sounds like he's going to be fully ready to go. But I'm on the train from New York back to Boston, and I got the notification the other day. Oh, look who's back at practice. Lane Johnson, Jalen Carter. Of course. And there were people in Philly like, oh, why aren't these linemen playing in week 18? Sit down and shut up. You're the same people last year that said the Eagles were dead at 2-2. They're not good enough. Their coach stinks. Their quarterback can't throw. Jalen Hurts was unbelievable in the Super Bowl last year. The line was the key, but he's the glue to everything. And I'll be curious to see where this total closes. 44.5 now. You still might see some under money there because I think people are mostly shorting San Francisco. And here's why. The guys that I talked to, they watched Seattle dominate San Francisco. And Philly's better in the trenches. Philly's got a better O-line and a better D-line. So if they can just grade you down, could get ugly, man. Not ugly in the sense of it's 35-0, but
double
very
digit win.
hard. Very hard for San Francisco to score.
All right. We got Patrick Everson coming up in a couple minutes. Let's wrap up these wild card games. New England, this line is not budged. It is -3.5 at home, hosting the Chargers for Sunday Night Football. The story with the Chargers is obvious. The offensive line injuries, and people talk a lot about Herbert's history in the playoffs. It's just 2 games. They have a good defense this time around. Patriots, Drake May. Some people bet the angle of those quarterbacks playing in the postseason for the very first time. Sam, historically, those quarterbacks have not done well at all. But I would say what's worth pointing out is if you look at these quarterbacks that are in the playoffs for the first time in the last few years, they're right around 500 straight up and against the spread. I wonder with this era of quarterback if it's as big of a deal as it used to be.
I don't know. Obviously every year is different and every quarterback is different for the most part. He looks the package though. I mean, he looks to be a very, very formidable weapon for a long, long time in this league. That said, I'd like to see the Patriots win an important game with this core and with, a guy like Drake May, who's never had to do it before. Now, Vrabel has had, of course, his playoff successes. The one year they went in New England, beat them. They knocked Lamar out one year. I think that was the year Lamar won the MVP. So we know Vrabel can nail it down. But also, a lot of those Charger teams that we refer to in the past, last 5-10 years, they don't have Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
So he's potentially the great equalizer there. And I'm very fond of that combo. Harbaugh and Herbert. I believe in the coach. I believe in the quarterback. I'll have the Chargers for sure. And you notice it hasn't gotten to 4 yet. It opened 3.5 and it hasn't moved, man. It's still 3.5. And you know what the public's betting here.
With you on the Chargers, if it was a New England pass rush that could get home. I mean, their sack rate is just about the same as the Bears and Packers. And people talk about how they don't have a pass rush, at least Green Bay without their dude in Parsons. And the Bears have not had a pass rush all year. That's kind of where they hang. They don't have that top-notch pass rush. I like betting on that Harbaugh side. I like betting Herbert as an underdog. We're getting more than a field goal. We are on the same side. Chicken dinner bet. We are going to be on the LA Chargers +3.5. And then Monday night, John Murray says sharp money coming in on the home team in Pittsburgh. The Texans' elite defense, poor offense. Stroud as a favorite, hasn't been great throughout his career. DK Metcalf coming off the suspension. Everything goes through that offense, through Metcalf there. Of course, you have Aaron Rodgers. It's a different version of Aaron Rodgers, but a ton of playoff experience. Man, I think it's funny. If you are a trends player, one of the number one trends of Wild Card Weekend is Tomlin and the Steelers don't lose on Monday Night Football, especially in Pittsburgh.
What's the number? Do you have it in front of you? I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, let me pull it up. Okay, here it is. Steelers at home, Monday Night Football, last 24 times. They are 23-1 straight up. The only loss was the COVID season, no fans to the Commanders in 2020. That's it. Tomlin, Monday Night Football overall, 23-5 straight up. 12-1 straight up in Pittsburgh. He's a dog.
As you were reading that stat, I saw our friend Patrick Everson putting his hands together like Count Chocula hearing that stat. 23-1, Patrick.
Oh my goodness. That's a hell of a stat. I don't know if I want to get involved with that game on either side, really. That's just, but that is an interesting stat. And having Stroud and the Texans have to go to Pittsburgh, and even with any misgivings you might have about Pittsburgh and just 2 weeks ago losing against Cleveland and so forth, that's a tremendous stat. It's one that I'm certain people will notice even more so as we get through the weekend. I mean, it's the last game on the slate, guys. So a lot of people won't really turn their attention to that being on Monday night until they get through that Chargers-Pats game on Sunday. But I think that stat's going to get a lot of play all day long on Monday. It'll be interesting to see if it impacts the public betting masses' opinion of this game.
I'll be on the Steelers. Sam, you have play in that one?
I might just wait. I don't think it's going to go to 2.5. I don't.
No.
So you might as well just wait and see if you can get a 3.5. Why wait? That's why you wait.
Yep. Patrick Everson here on Chicken Dinner, Vegas Insider, Fox Sports as well. Make sure you're following him on X. You see the handle if you're watching via YouTube, Patrick _Vegas. Patrick, you have terrific information. I know you've been on the phone, your busiest time of the year. These next 5 days, man, college football playoff semi. And then we've got 3 straight days of the wild card action with 6 games carrying it over to Monday. Is this up there as far as busy weekends? Is this up there with like maybe March Madness, busiest weeks of the year?
It's huge, but it's a little easier to cover, honestly, than a 16-game NFL week or a March Madness first weekend where you're rolling out 32 games over the first 2 days and 16 over the next 2 days. So it's a little easier to keep up with, but the magnitude of it is massive. And I think what'll be interesting to see, and I don't think we're necessarily going to see it out of the Miami Ole Miss game tonight, because it seems like I'm hearing from multiple odds makers two-way action on this game. But depending on where bettors are putting their money line parlays, and I got to think after what we saw in the Ole Miss game last week, that the public remembers what they saw last, and that was just frenetic and amazing and fun and entertaining. I would think the money line parlays might lead off with Ole Miss, but the thing is, they're not going to stop with tomorrow in Indiana. They're going to roll in. They're going to go to the Rams and possibly the Bears or the Packers. Not sure which way they would take it there, but they're going to be stacking up money line parlays that run the CFP all the way through tonight, all the way through the Texans Steelers on Monday night. So it'll be really interesting to see where the public takes those. It's pretty clear in some cases where the public's going to be, but in a couple of other instances, as you guys have just addressed, it's not necessarily crystallized yet.
I feel like I've had a pretty good pulse on Indiana, Joe. We bet them against Oregon. We leaned that way in the Big Ten championship, and I was on every show that I do, every network that I'm on, saying bet Indiana against Alabama. And that game changed things for a lot of people. And Patrick, I'm sure you've heard some of this, but I get this sense now that after pounding Alabama, and even though it's not the Alabama that we have learned to know under Nick Saban, it's still an SEC team that got dog walked. 30-point blowout. Mm-hmm. It feels to me like the people who were looking to bet Alabama last game are now finally convincing themselves, okay, Indiana's really good. Now I'm going to lay it. And I'm always very, very aware of being too late to the party, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. The time to be at the party was probably before last week, no question, and perhaps sooner on Indiana. So, and what they're seeing from a couple of different odds makers I've talked to is this week, like you said, Sam, people may be coming around on Indiana. It is one-way traffic. Joey Fiesel, the head of football trading at Caesar Sportsbook, he told me on Wednesday, said, it looks like we're going to get more two-way action on Miami Ole Miss. That's what they're seeing. And Oregon, Indiana might be the polar opposite with one-way traffic. And it's one-way traffic on Indiana. And he said that Oregon was seeing a little bit of sharp play at +4, but it's overwhelmed by the public being on Indiana, even early, even though we've got, another 30 hours or whatever it is between now and kickoff. But it's all Indiana in this game. They are definitely on them. And I think to your point, Sam, it's kind of people came to a realization, had a come to Jesus meeting last week, Sam, when Indiana just beat the hell out of Alabama. It's Fiesel noted, and people say this, it's hard to beat the same team twice, but he said, look, there's a little bit of sharper action, as I alluded to, on Oregon +4, but he said, we're not going to see a slow in traffic on Indiana. And I've got numbers today from BetMGM, and you're talking 3-1 spread tickets, 2-1 spread money on Indiana at BetMGM. And even on the money line, laying the juice there, laying the -175. And this is straight bets. These aren't parlays. This is off straight bet data from BetMGM. 59% of bets, 76% of money on the money line is on Indiana in this game. And I don't think those numbers are going to get smaller. I think if anything, they're going to get bigger as the public heads towards this game on Friday night. The bulk of the action is still to come.
Patrick, with the college football playoff, before this version of the playoffs, there would be a lot of complaints. Well, we know what's going to happen. I can list off the 4 or 5 teams that are going to be there in the end. But now you have this playoff and, of course, the NIL and portal and all that. This whole thing has changed a lot. I wonder how that plays out with this Final Four in the ratings and at the sports books. Because there was a bit of a celebration, like you guys are talking about with Bama. We can also throw last year's champ Ohio State, Georgia in the mix as well. Oh, these blue bloods in football are out. Yay. Does it mean they're going to watch? Does it mean they're going to be betting? And maybe I'm wondering if like the bookmakers that you're talking to this week, maybe they're like, oh, crap, where's the big money going to come from with these 4 teams?
I think that's a very fair question, and I haven't heard it yet. I'll be doing some more, I'll have some stuff up later today on X, obviously on tonight's game, video and so forth, and some content as well. I haven't heard it yet, but I think it's very fair to assume that, particularly with Miami Ole Miss. Now, I do think Ole Miss is going to light a fire under some people because that was just such an extremely entertaining game to watch on New Year's Day night. That was awesome. So I think that might help a little. I think Oregon, Indiana will probably do pretty well. I think there might be a little bit of a lag in Florida and Ole Miss. And then depending on what type of championship game that leads to, standalone game 2 Mondays from now, not having an Alabama, a Georgia. I mean, perhaps Ole Miss is there, but that's not the same as, an Alabama, a Georgia, an LSU, which with sports betting legal I know sports betting is legal in Mississippi, but you can't do mobile. And what I hear especially from Caesars, but also from other books that operate in Louisiana, is that the LSU following is mad. I mean, they bet their brains out down there. So not having that, I think is there's going to be some residual effect that perhaps shows up a little bit tonight, and maybe even more so in the championship game, depending on who the final 2 are.
I was texting with some guys last week about liabilities in the future market for the college title, and Mo Pearson at Wynn said, we need Georgia out. And they got that. Georgia's out. Westgate needs Miami out. They got popped on Miami. They need the Canes to not win the whole thing. What have you heard from around town and around the country?
Yeah. So what happened general, well, maybe even specifically, look, there was, I heard over the summer from Caesars and from some other shops that people were like taking some shots on Miami. They were taking shots on Clemson, which obviously did not work out well at all. But they did take some stuff on Miami. But what I heard where the bigger issue was with Miami, Sammy, is I'm a poet and I don't know it. Miami, Sammy.
Wow.
Sorry, I had to do that.
Very good.
Team. That's his team.
So last month, I'm sorry, we got to go back like almost 5 weeks now, 5.5 weeks, when it looked like Miami was not going to get in. There were books that went to 200-1, maybe even more than 200-1 on Miami to win the national championship. And it doesn't take very many pops at those numbers to suddenly create a ton of liability. And that's what I heard was this, Joey Fiesel at Caesars told me this on Wednesday, that they definitely took some plays in that 100, 150-1, et cetera, when it looked like Miami was going to be left out, and all the odds makers adjusted and stretched Miami out quite a distance. And going back and forth with Seamus McGee at BetMGM, he said, futures wise, we're looking to see an Indiana Ole Miss national title game. Miami and Oregon are liabilities for the book at the moment. And again, the main reason that is for BetMGM is because I don't know that they went quite as far out as like 200, 250, but I think they did see some action like 100, 150 to 1 on Miami. And again, it doesn't take very many tickets at those prices to stack up some serious liability.
All right, we know there won't be a lack for action in the NFL. That will not be a conversation at all. You tell us, Patrick, what's your lead here with us? What is the game that we need to start with?
Flip that notebook. Flip it. I
Well,
want to hear it.
I got it right here. All my numbers are here. Got my where the sharp action is here. I got pages and pages of stuff.
Yellow.
The yellow legal pad is my best friend, and nobody else can read this writing except me. I guarantee. I have my own shorthand developed over a 35-year professional career or whatever it is now. And it's terribly sloppy. And if I let it sit too long and percolate, Sam and Joe, like if I am taking notes and I don't write the piece until a day or two later, it's like, what is that? What the hell does that say? It takes me a while sometimes, but it's important to be prudent and turn these notes into articles as fast as possible. But I digress. I think the one to look at is 49ers Eagles. That's the one that's seeing the most movement. And that's what I heard from Joey Fiesel on Wednesday at Caesars. Also went back and forth with Tom Gable at Borgata Sports in Atlantic City. Now, look, what Tom Gable rightly pointed out, Atlantic City is an hour from Philly. They got a lot. It's an Eagles section of the country. So you're going to get regional bias there. And he said, we've got a lot of Eagles money early. We went from 3 to 3.5 to 4.5. Well, I saw late last night, DraftKings, which is certainly going to represent more of a national picture because they're all over the country, went to 5.5 on the Eagles. So this is, the Eagles are getting a really strong push here. And Joey Fiesel at Caesar said some of that push is definitely sharp money. Sharp money certainly at -3.5 on the Eagles, and at this point maybe more since DraftKings. I don't know if anybody else has gone to 5 or 5.5. And again, 5.5 are kind of deadish numbers too, but they did move there. So I think that one's kind of interesting. That they're backing off the 49ers. They failed to get the number 1 seed. They're totally they continue to be banged up. I know that Brock Purdy's not listed as questionable for this game, but he took a couple shots last week from that Seattle defense, which just absolutely pounded the Niners. So it looks like that one's going to be one where they're going to have a need on the Niners. And what Joey Fiesel at Caesar said is we probably need what they like to term that Super Bowl middle, where you get the favorite win and the underdog cover. They would probably like Philly to win and the 49ers to cover the number in that game. Get like a Philly 2 or 3 point win, something like that.
How about Buffalo and Jacksonville? What have you heard there?
Yeah, so Buffalo is going to be the public side. This Casey Degnan, the risk manager at Superbook, who I know you're familiar with, and obviously John Murray and all. John Murray was on this show, so John Murray's a better guest than me. I can tell you that. That guy knows way more than I do. But Casey Degnan said at the beginning of the week, the Bills were going to be a very public side. Now, what's interesting is I don't think this has moved very much, like 1.5, something like that. But the Bills are a road favorite because they are going to, in part at least, because they are going to be a public side here. The public is going to get on Josh Allen. I don't think the public has the interest in Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars, nowhere near that than they have in the Bills. And a lot of people think, okay, it's finally the Bills here. The Kansas City Chiefs are out of the way. We don't have to worry about Kansas City coming here or us going to Kansas City and losing in some just tragic fashion to Patrick Mahomes. So they feel like maybe it's the Bills year. My first thought on that is being a 6th seed and having to go through 3 road games is not the most ideal way to get to the Super Bowl, but they're going to be a public side. And again, Casey Degnan said that at the beginning of the week with Superbook. Joey Fiesel reiterated that on Wednesday with Caesar Sports.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I feel like I have to. 25 minutes ago, John Murray said the Jags are the public side at the Westgate.
No kidding.
It has changed in the last 48 to 72 hours. They now need Buffalo, right, Joe?
Yep, that's what he said. He said everybody was on Jacksonville. It sounded like both were lining up. But early in the week, is that going to be the case? Friday, Saturday, right. Sunday morning? Probably not.
When the bulk of the money comes in, but I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Jacksonville is on a tremendous run, and they're the home team. I do think the next 3 days will be interesting to see whether that action persists that the Superbook seeing or whether it changes, and what everybody else is seeing too on more of a national level too.
What about the Bears Packers? It sounded like there's sharp money on Green Bay. The books finally aligned, like, okay, let's make Green Bay the favorite. And it's been toggling between 1.5, total down a little bit. What are you hearing?
Yeah, same kind of thing. I think it's I mean, it's totally a coin toss game. And Casey Degnan, again, at the Superbooks at the beginning of the week, I think we're going to see two-way action here. Tom Gable with Borgata Sports told me the same on Tuesday. So Casey on Sunday night, Tom Gable on Tuesday. And I think a couple of good points that Joey Fiesel made at Caesar Sports in my conversation with him on Wednesdays, like ever since the Micah Parsons injury, he said this Packers team has been a little flat. And obviously they've lost 4 in a row. They weren't trying to win the last game, so I think you can throw that out. But they did lose 3 in a row before that. Going into the playoffs on an 0-4 slide is not necessarily ideal. But he said much the same thing. He said early bettors. He said they had some early bettors on the Bears, but as you noted, Joe, this is flipped, and I think the consent is. I'm double checking some of my lines to see the consensus being, the Packers. The Packers are 1.5 or pretty much 1.5 everywhere, 1 at a couple of spots. So he said, I think this will end up being a two-way action game. The public will come in late on the Packers.
This future bet on the Bears is something, man. Why don't you go ahead and share the details on that?
Yeah, so we've got from a few weeks, several weeks ago, and I'm scrolling down to it now in my notes on this, but this just before the Bears beat the Eagles on Black Friday, Sam, I believe it was the week before that. And it was kind of surprised because the Bears were on a decent roll at this point. But BetMGM had Chicago at 66-1, plus 6,600. And then, a high roller customer of some sort put $50,000 on the Bears. And then like the next day, Chicago beats Philly 24-15. The Bears odds get cut by more than half. They move in a lot. And now you've got Chicago as the number 2 seed in the playoffs. They're going to get, if they win this week, they get another home game next week, and you never know what's going to happen in the divisional round. So, perhaps there's a chance that, although I think it's going to be darn hard to go up to Seattle and win, but there is a chance they could get, a home game in the conference championship if they make it that far as well. So you've got a $50,000 bet at 66-1, and it's still a long way to go to get there. But if Chicago gets there, that is a $3.3 million win. Should Chicago go the distance and lift the trophy?
Whoa! I mean,
that's not bad, huh?
In a wide open playoffs,
it's very wide open. I agree.
Extremely.
Think about how many thin crust pizzas we can buy with that.
So
66,000. I think the average good thin crust pizza from a good place is probably about $20. So 3.3.
Don't do the math. Don't embarrass yourself.
It's not $20, Patrick. It's 2026, man.
Yeah.
Nothing. 25. 132,000 at 25 apiece.
Yep.
You get 132,000 Lou Malnati's at 25 apiece with $3.3 million.
Yeah,
that keep you going for a while. That worked for me.
All right,
that get me to the deathbed.
Probably
faster than I want.
What about the games we have not discussed? We talked about the really popular ones. Obviously, the Jacksonville, Buffalo, Chicago, Green Bay, San Francisco, Philly. Any quick notes on those other 3 for us? Obviously, the Monday game. We've got a little bit of time here, but what are you hearing so far in those 3?
So we haven't touched Rams at all, right? So
correct.
It's a little bit interesting in that the Rams are a similar size favorite as they were in Week 13 when they went to Carolina and got beat. The odds makers are not buying in on this at all. And what Joey Fiesel at Caesars told me, he said, look, it's a lot of points and people are laying them. It's one-way traffic coming in on the Rams. The market and bettors do not believe in this Panthers team nearly as much as this Rams team. And you get it. The Rams are still number 2 on the Super Bowl odds board. Matthew Stafford's very likely going to win the MVP. Well, maybe not very likely. He's a strong candidate to win the MVP along with Drake May. So they're going to be behind them. And that's where everybody's going to kick off their money line parlays on Saturday as well. We talked Bears, Packers, Patriots, Chargers. I heard you guys talking about this a little bit earlier. I think there's no doubt that, the public, I don't think the public has gotten there on the Patriots yet, but they're going to get there by the time Sunday rolls around. The Patriots are going to be the team at the end of the Sunday money line parlays. And what Joey Fiesel at Caesar said is a little bit of movement. They actually did. I know it's been painted to +4 or painted to -3.5, +3.5 to use a sportsbook consig term, painted to the number. But I love it when he said that. I always thought that was a clever turn of phrase. But Caesars was at least momentarily at 4, and they did get sharp money at +4. And they are seeing some Chargers money on the spread money line. But Joey Fiesel, as Caesar said, I expect we'll see Patriots money coming in by Sunday with the respect that Drake May and Mike Vrabel have gotten all year. And I think they're going to be the public play as well by the time we get to Sunday. And then as far as the Texans game goes, at Caesars at least, I know we talked about this a little bit earlier with Pittsburgh's record on Monday night is incredible, but he said the betting public is providing one-way traffic on the Texans. That's where the action is coming. A lot of bets on the under too with that Texans defense. But he notes that the Steelers they're a public team. And he said, we'll see Steelers money coming in Sunday, Pittsburgh, or Monday rather, I should say. Pittsburgh always is going to drive action, but he said early on at least, Texans and under is the play. And that total is 39.5, which is like 5 points lower than any other total in the wild card round.
Patrick Everson at @PatrickE_Vegas on X, Vegas Insider, Fox Sports as well. Make sure you follow him. Check out his great work. More coming before we get to all of these games this weekend. Patrick, I guarantee we'll be bugging you again sometime soon, all right?
I would be grateful to be bugged. Feel free, bug away, my guys, and congrats on the transition here, and wishing you guys nothing but the best in the new year, and appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, you so much. He's the goods, Patrick Everson. If you missed the announcement earlier on, we have partnered with Splash Sports, splashsports.com/chicken. Playoffs start on Saturday. We know you're making your picks for Wild Card Weekend. If you're watching on YouTube, give us your best bet. Throw it into the chat there. Talk about that, guys. If you want to add something fun on top of those selections, Splash Sports has an NFL Playoff Survivor contest that's really simple to play. Gives you a shot at winning $1 million guaranteed. You need to make 2 picks for Wild Card Weekend, 2 in the divisional round, and then 1 each the rest of the way. You can enter from your phone in 40-plus states. We're talking about picking games straight up, not against the spread. If you're excited for the playoffs, worth checking out. $150 to enter, $1 million in guaranteed prizes. Make sure you enter by Saturday afternoon, 4:30 Eastern. Splashsports.com/chicken. We'll get to our picks coming up. Or you want to do that now, Sam, then jump on college?
We could do that. I was just watching the ticker. We are almost at 3,000 entries. So
yeah,
I'm thinking 6 is realistic. Don't underestimate the push tonight, all day tomorrow, and then for the first half of the day on Saturday. It's not a big entry either. If you've got a buddy who likes Survivor, $75 a pop. If you got 2 buddies, that's 50-50-50. $150 entry for the $1 million NFL Playoff Survivor. I stink at Survivor, but I'll tell you what I'm not doing. I am not putting Buffalo in my picks this weekend because I need Buffalo down the road. And I think it is interesting because we do a betting show. We want people to win. We want to help, but we also want to win this contest. So how much of the secret sauce are we willing to give away?
Okay, so obviously the first thing everybody's going to do is, I want to pick a winner. GRP famously told us number 1 rule in Survivor is pick a winner, but you don't want to pick one that's going to make a deep run. That's tough to figure out. But I mentioned to you that, obviously you're big on Buffalo. If Jacksonville wins, they could go to the Super Bowl. Yeah, so we have to avoid that game. I don't want to take the Rams. Do you?
I do.
Oh, you do want to take them because you think they're not going to make a deep run?
Well, because the Rams would then go to Philly, and I like Philly more. So my strategy is to save the teams that I like to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm a Buffalo guy. I'm a one-trick pony. Unlike some people, I have one team. But
are we up to 9, 10 now?
I was in such a good mood. So
you brought it up.
I did. I deserve that wholeheartedly. Of the teams I think can actually win, though, and I haven't done this, I'm doing this on the fly. Buffalo, Jacksonville, Philly.
Yes.
I think that's it. I think
not
that's
New
it.
England, not Denver is basically what you're saying.
And I'm out on Seattle. I'm out on San Fran. I know a lot of people are in on Seattle, but I'm not there. I'm not there with Chicago or Green Bay. So I have a much smaller list, but my point is the teams that I mentioned, Buffalo, Jacksonville, and also Philly, I'm not using them this week because I need some of those horses down the road. So I'll
Right.
probably go. I might go Rams and Steelers, man.
I'm glad you said that because I was about to go in Sammy P mode here. I was like, which dog are we taking? Are we taking the Chargers or are we taking the Steelers? Gotta take a dog. I mean, I would.
This is the problem when you do a show with
Yeah.
people who talk to people in Vegas.
Yeah.
You hear a guy like Murray say, "Oh, sharps are all over Pittsburgh," and I'm like, "Well, I may have written that down twice and underlined it." So you get swayed. But when you hear that the public is on a favorite and the wise guys are gobbling up the dog prices on a game that hasn't moved off 3 for the most part, how do you not entertain that side?
I do like what you're saying about the Rams because if you were to press me, do you think the Rams are winning the Super Bowl? Do you think the Rams are going to be in the NFC Championship game? My answer would probably be no. So why not use them now? And it's probably the biggest point spread that we're going to see. We'll see what the matchups are for the divisional round, but probably the biggest point spread that we're going to see in the playoffs. And you start with a likely win there, and then it's about, okay, a little more risky, but is there an underdog do you like? Is there another team that won't be super popular that you want to roll with? Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same page. Avoiding that Eagles game, I think that's a good idea there. And then, man, I might use one where I take the Eagles, I'll be honest. But I definitely don't want Buffalo Jacksonville. And games are limited. Packers Bears just like the most coin flip game of all coin flips.
I know.
I don't think if you have an opinion on which team's going to win that game, I would pick them. Like a strong opinion because neither team is going to the Super Bowl.
Well, I made an opinion on another game that's a very close call. I mean, a 3-point spread is very small relative to some of the other markets that we see in playoff games and we will see in playoff games. I just wish I didn't like – here's the truth. I wish I didn't like Philly so much big picture because this is a great spot to use Philly. Mm-hmm. The sharp guys are fucking clobbering Philly here. So I'm trying to balance my knowledge of the current situation for Sunday with my personal expectation for the team. Yeah. I could easily put Philly in here and it feels sort of like a free space. But then if Philly gets to the NFC Championship and takes on Chicago or whoever, I don't have the bracket in front of me. I guess they wouldn't play Chicago because Chicago's the 2 and they're the 3. So if it's Philly, Seattle, I'm going to want to pick Philly. So that's why I'm hesitant to waste them or burn them in the first round.
Yep. I get what you're saying. Okay. For show purposes, let's go Rams and where else?
Steelers.
I like it. I know I'll have a couple and one will have Philly. Like you're right. They could make a run, but I also really like them to win that game at home. It might be the only game they win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
All right. It's good.
Well, then it'd be likely Chicago, Philly in the next game, right?
In Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be in Philly against the Packers, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So,
all things are subject to change.
Yes. All right, let's get to college football. So with so much going on, we're recording this. We're talking now hours before the first semifinal game. So we're not going to waste your time there. We talked about it with Horvey yesterday. I did about the Thursday matchup, but we know many of you are going to be able to check out this chicken dinner before the Friday semifinal. What are you thinking with that Oregon-Indiana game?
I'm on the dog. I talked about this on Bear Bets. Yep, it was 4.5 at the time. And it's interesting. We taped that show on Monday this week. I got on a train 6 o'clock in the morning, got down to New York. We taped it at like 11 o'clock East Coast. And at the time, I'm like, that's a big number on Oregon, because I pulled up my numbers and my numbers, I have like 2.5. Like that's what I think the true spread should be. But it's so early. You kind of want to wait. It's hard to make best bets on Monday for me I'll speak for myself because I want to see how things sort of change throughout the week. And now the 4.5s are long gone. The 4s are mostly gone. Let me pull up Odds Logic here and kind of show you where the market's at on Oregon, Indiana. We are, okay, 4 at Pinnacle, but everybody else down the line is 3.5. And, Matoy makes his number 2. I talked to our other guy who says he makes the game 1. And I'm like, man, this is just all Indiana cherries on top of the sundae or the whipped cream on top of the cake. All of this extra baggage has been added by what they have done in their last 2 games. Indiana has become the sexy team, the public darling. And all it took was a blowout of Alabama, who, let's be real, wasn't that good to begin with, which we've talked about for a month on this show. If you're betting Indiana, you're laying the worst of the number because this thing, according to professional odds makers, should be less than 3. But you can take 3.5 or a stale 4 if you so choose, and I will be on the Ducks here.
It's Horvy's best bet of the entire weekend, including NFL wildcard games. He likes Oregon plus 3.5, and I certainly understand. Don't forget that game was tied in the middle of the fourth quarter. The narrative, it's just gotten so out of control. And you heard it from Murray, you heard it from Everson. They're betting Indiana, sharps, public, everyone's in on Indiana. The narrative is there's no weakness on Indiana. They are, all of a sudden, they become the perfect team. The top dogs are out that we're used to seeing win these titles, and now Indiana's the perfect team. They have everything offensively, the stout defense. They don't make mistakes, great coach. Like, they have it all. They cannot go wrong, right? Boy, has that changed. Were people saying that during the year? But now they're the last one standing of those monster teams, and everybody just has it all in. They're all in on Indiana. I don't think they're going to be landing twice. I'm with you. I hope you're right. So are you Indiana, Miami? Is this, I'd rather Oregon, Miami. Is that where we're at?
I didn't make a bet tonight. I didn't.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I didn't get there. I would have loved to lay 3. Now that we're there, day of the game, I don't know. I woke up this morning and thought, I don't think I'm going to make a bet because it is 3. So I got my wish. And yet I watched how this game got bet. The first guys came in late 3 on Miami, and then it got 3.5, 4. And once it hit 4, man, it's been sharp on Ole Miss. Taking the 4, taking the 3.5, kind of shoving it right back in the early money's face. So that's just enough to keep me off. I'd love to see Miami win. I got a lot of friends at Miami, and naturally, Bear bets could potentially have Bears Canes against Jeff's Ducks. I hope it happens.
It's wild. It's wild. I mean, in Ole Miss, they're not playing another SEC team this time. They're not playing another team, another softer team in the playoff in the first round that they already did. It is just such a different scenario where it's just split up. Okay, you left, but you run the offense, and let's see if we can go win another playoff game. This is going to be a new opponent. Interesting that the sharp money is on Ole Miss. I'm a little surprised by that, but I think they're just grabbing numbers. It's like the old saying, they're grabbing numbers, not so much the teams there. That's going to be a fun one to watch, and I hope it is for your case, Bear Bet's case. It is going to be that Oregon against Miami, and then you're just there to decide things on the show.
Yep. I can do no wrong there. I can play both sides if I really want to.
All right, let's wrap with our best bets. Wild card weekend. If you want to include the Friday game from college football, where are we going, Sam?
Yeah, I've got a list here. It starts with Oregon, and let's just give 3.5 because that is the consensus line right now. So I love Oregon plus 3.5. At 4.5, you can still lay 4.5 on Philly. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good bet. I do. On top of my Buffalo pick'em. Actually, you could take a point and a half right now. Hell, I was ready to just win the game, but you're going to give me a 1.5 at DraftKings and FanDuel. That's cool. So my 3 best bets are Oregon plus the points, Philly minus the 4.5, and then take Buffalo with the little change right there, plus 1.5, whatever you choose. I also, Joe, I dabbled with a little parlay building. Oregon to win and the Steelers to win. You can get 5.25 there. That is not the worst bet in the world.
Woo. Yeah, I feel like I have to go with the Ducks with you guys, but those are your bets. You guys are big, Horvey and yourself, big on the Oregon Ducks in this one. And boy, hearing how much is coming in on that other side makes you feel a little bit better. As far as the best bets, Steelers +3. I don't think we're going to end up getting the hook in that one. They're going to find a way, just like they did again and again on Sunday night. That's going to be a good one with Monday. This Texans offense isn't doing anything. They're going to find a way with Pittsburgh. The Metcalf return is massive. I like the Chargers. Chargers getting that hook. Herbert, think he's going to slay that dragon. But let's check on our buddy Jeff Feinberg if he goes 0-3 in the playoffs. And Drake May wins his first playoff game against Herbert. Oh, I'm very concerned for our friend there. So Steelers as a dog, Chargers as a dog. Love both of those. Man, it's a strong case with the Eagles. You understand why there's so much money coming in on that side. I'm just a little worried. Are they going to care enough, do enough to cover the point spread? Could you get backdoored there? That concerns me a little bit. I'll probably play a Saquon prop, a Loveland prop, but Bears-Packers, you're going to get a flurry of points at the second half of that game. Just like we saw in those first couple of games. 22.5. I think once we get to Saturday, this thing's probably going to be 23 everywhere, maybe 23.5. So second half over in that game. And I can't say I'm the most confident in it, but I support you, and I know I'm going to bet it. Let's go, Bills.
Need it. Need you there. I knew you'd get there. I'm very hopeful because I could have a really bad Sunday in a lot of ways. It will crush me mentally because I've been talking about something for 4 or 5 months, and then they don't even win a playoff game. And then everybody will pile on, which is part of the game at this point. But I'm due for a correction, and I'm due to have some things go my way. That kind of started to change when Miami made the playoff, and I cashed a 2-1 ticket there for a nice pop. And now I need Buffalo to basically go to the AFC Championship and win. And then I can do what I want from there. I would probably make a small hedge. I did get a couple questions on X about, are you hedging? Are you betting any Jacksonville? No, I am not. I'm not getting out of my, situation or mitigating any risk in the first game. So I'm all in here until probably the Super Bowl if we get that far.
Yep. If you are watching via YouTube, in the comments, throw in your best bet from Wild Card Weekend. We'll want to see what you guys have to say. Hit that thumbs up, the like button. Appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed if you are not yet. And via the podcast, I know you mentioned that we were getting some Spotify comments. Hopefully we can get to that later on. But as you've seen this week, more and more content on the Chicken Dinner feed via YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, your podcatcher. We'll do more next week, hopefully, as well. So we're not going away anywhere. And support Splash Sports because they're supporting Chicken Dinner. If you want a chance at being a millionaire, picking games in the NFL playoffs, join the $1 million NFL Playoff Survivor Contest on Splash Sports. $150 to enter, $1 million in guaranteed prizes. Splashsports.com/chicken. Sam, what is the plan for next week? Because we've got playoff games carrying into Monday night.
Yeah, I don't think we put that together yet. Obviously, it's a strange schedule because you have games on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I do like the 2 per week. I think it's very manageable. This is the earliest we've taped a new Chicken Dinner as we sat down at like 2 o'clock Eastern, give or take. I would think we get to 2. Maybe we tape Monday night or Tuesday night, maybe.
Yep.
We'll see. We'll figure all that out. Here's what else I'm figuring out. I finally, after weeks, have figured out, look at that, baby. Look who's back.
Oh,
look at the merch.
People keep asking. My wife is asking. Her friends are asking. And I'm like, it's a long story. There were issues with the store. Are we good to go? Is that what this means?
We have to activate, and you and I can do that offline, but be on the lookout for a link on our socials. On, the Twitter, there's a link to our Beacons page, which has everything that we do. But once you can buy, we will fly the link out there. If you're watching right now on YouTube, you can see we have the OG over here, the white chicken, the Fade the Bartender, and then the Bach logo. But this site, Printify, makes it very easy to just go to the hoodie you like, and then you can switch all the colors. So there's your orange, there's military green, there's light blue, there's royal blue. And as you see, this product is coming soon. But we are almost there. We just have to finalize a couple of things, cross some T's, dot some I's, and hope to have some merch available ASAP for the Coop.
Can't wait. Can't wait for the Coop. Hopefully the Coop, you guys have some winners this weekend. Best of luck, and we'll talk next week right here on Chicken Dinner.